No one's ever tried.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 2 Q&A video covering A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and the Episode 3 trailer video. We're doing Game of Thrones videos all season long. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. I'll be talking about the prequel TV series that Game of Thrones is doing that's supposed to premiere next year when we get a little bit closer to the end of the season 2. We're still doing the HBO Now giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. Careful for spoilers for everything through Episode 2 in the Episode 3 trailer video. First one, Mariana asks, do you think that Beric will resurrect someone in the next episode? So you're talking about the Kiss of Life twist from the books. There have been a lot of questions on my videos about whether or not they're going to pull a Lady Stoneheart twist from the books using Beric's Kiss of Life, just using a different character instead of Catelyn Stark. Beric is on my death predictions list, so I think either way he probably goes during this episode. It's possible, but not probable, that he uses the Kiss of Life to bring one of the other big characters back. Careful for spoilers from the books, I'll just explain the Kiss of Life twist, so I have to explain Lady Stoneheart briefly. What happens in the books is that a long time after the Red Wedding, Beric Dondarrion finds the body of Catelyn Stark that's been decomposing on a riverbank. He brings her back to life by essentially passing his life force into her, creating Lady Stoneheart. But because her body's been decomposing for a long time and she has all these giant gash wounds all over her because of what happened to her during the Red Wedding, and because she's been dead for so long, it's almost a Pet Sematary twist where she's a little bit crazy, she barely remembers her life before she became Lady Stoneheart, and goes on this crazy vengeance quest. So it's very different from what we got on the TV show, and I'm not expecting them to do a whole lot of that this late in the game, but it is possible. Next one, Limanel asks, will you talk about the potential deeper meaning behind Jenny's song or the theories surrounding it? For example, the theory that Rhaegar was the one who wrote it and potentially sang it to the ghost of the High Heart. So yes, there is a lot of deeper meaning to Jenny's song, but the TV show added some of their own lyrics to it. The song itself is actually supposed to be about the tragedy at Summerhall where Aegon V and his entire family died in a fire, but because of the way they use the song with the Jon Snow Daenerys reveal at the end of the episode where he tells her the truth, a lot of the deeper meaning of the song foreshadows what might end up happening between the two of them later this season. Jenny of Oldstones was a commoner who fell in love with the crown prince of Aegon V. His name was Duncan Targaryen. He was named Duncan the Small after Aegon's best friend, Duncan the Tall. Remember, the title of the episode was A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, all about Brienne being knighted by Jaime. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is the name of the book compendium of the tales of Duncan Egg, Duncan the Tall, and Aegon V. So it gets really meta, but what happened is that Duncan, when he fell in love with Jenny of Oldstones, was forced to give up his crown in order to be with her, which he did. So a lot of people wondered if that meant that Jon Snow would give up his claim on the Iron Throne to be with Daenerys. But here's the twist. I think that implies more about what Daenerys is going to give up to be with Jon Snow, like the person that she truly loves, because she's the one that wants this thing so badly. Jon Snow never wanted the Iron Throne. Kit Harington in real life after the episode was saying, Jon doesn't bloody want any Iron Throne or any crown. So it's not so much about him giving things up. That wouldn't be very meaningful because he'd do it in a second. He hasn't even asserted any potential claim to the Iron Throne to begin with. It'd be much more meaningful if Daenerys gave up the thing that she had fought so hard for, which I think just implies that at the end of the series, she's going to give up her quest for the Iron Throne. I don't even think there's going to be an Iron Throne by the end. So the vision that she has from the House of the Undying, where she's almost touching the Iron Throne, I think them using the Jenny of Oldstones song and the story of Jenny of Oldstones is just paying reference back to that moment, that Daenerys will come within grasp of her goal, but she'll give it up for Jon Snow and a family with him. There are a lot of people that are wondering if it means if Daenerys is going to sacrifice her life to save Jon Snow, the person that she loves, but I don't think we should take it that far. I think this is more just about the Iron Throne, because for her, that's her endgame at this moment, but she's in love with Jon Snow. She might potentially get pregnant with his child, so that would complicate matters. There's still a lot of big twists with their situation that they could throw at us in the next couple of episodes. Hopefully that explains a little about Jenny's song from the books, but remember, the TV show created those lyrics, so those lyrics aren't from the books. The actual lyrics just pay more reference to the tragedy at Summerhall, with Jenny dancing with the ghosts, talking about the ghosts of her family that died in the tragedy. So on a broad level, it applies to all the characters on the show not wanting to leave their loved ones, but I don't think it really goes too much further than that. They just want you to think that most of these characters are going to die, and they don't want to leave each other, so this is like their last moment to say goodbye to each other. We could talk about Jenny's song all day, but next one, Thug Life asks, how about a video detailing the extent of Jon and Dany's forces stationed at Winterfell and the combined numbers Northmen, Mormonts, Manderleys, Dothraki, Unsullied, Wildlings, Greyjoys, Knights of the Vale, and any other forces that might show up for the battle. When you combine Jon and Daenerys' forces, they still have a little bit less than the Army of the Dead. Before they made it south of the Wall, the Army of the Dead had about 100,000 whites, and that just included animals as well as just regular people that had been turned into whites. You have to assume by the time they get to Winterfell, they picked up a couple more because you have the Umber, you have a bunch of other potential stragglers they picked up. As far as Jon and Daenerys' forces, the North has about 45,000 available troops. That includes the Knights of the Vale. You assume that number's gotten whittled down a little bit since Battle of the Bastards, so say like a little under 50,000. Daenerys also used to have around 50,000 troops, and that included the Dothraki Blood Riders and her Unsullied. So assume their combined forces are around 90,000, maybe a little bit less than that, but they also have 2 dragons, the Night King only has 1. So even though the Army of the Dead has the advantage in just sheer numbers, they want to make it seem like Jon and Daenerys' forces have a chance of beating them, but the minute that the White Walkers of the Whites start killing their troops, they instantly raise them back up as whites, so the Army of the Dead begins to grow exponentially during the battle if they don't start burning the bodies immediately, which would be really interesting to see how they handle during the episode. Number 9 FO asks, when will Cersei lose the baby? Yeah, they pretty much confirmed that there really is a baby. She'll probably lose it later this season. I'm guessing not to the last couple of episodes. The way they're pitching episode 3 is that it's all this battle, but that doesn't mean that you won't see characters from other places in Westeros show up during the episode. Remember, we could get a couple surprise appearances during the battle, but I'm not expecting a whole lot of Cersei stuff till episode 4, and that's when they'll start to carry forward the baby arc, because she was kind of hinting at it when Euron had his hand on her belly and was talking about putting a baby in her. I wouldn't be surprised if they push that to tail end episode 4 or sometime during episode 5, but we'll find out pretty soon. Next one, it's Overton S. What do you think is going to happen to Jon and Daenerys' relationship now that she knows he's a Targaryen? Do you think that she's pregnant? Yeah, I think that's another thing we'll find out about real soon, whether or not she's actually pregnant. The news has obviously driven a wedge between them, but the thing is Daenerys is not worried about the fact that he's related to her. She was ready to marry her brother Viserys before Khal Drogo came along. She actually did assume that she would marry him because it was Targaryen custom to wed sister to brother. So the fact that they share blood has nothing to do with why she's so angry. It's all about his potential claim to the throne. She thinks that he wants the throne, which is obviously bullcrap. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that. So a lot of it is just drama in the moment to complicate what's happening during episode 3 because of this big battle. So I don't think they're going to address it a lot till we get to episode 4, but obviously as we head into the finale and they actually do get their sights literally on the Iron Throne, then they'll start resolving things. She'll probably find out that she's potentially pregnant, and that would really be the thing to want Jon Snow to repair their relationship, because he hates the idea of bastards, and if they're not married when that baby is born, then that baby would be a bastard. But a lot of that is still so far off in the distance that we'll talk about that once we get to like episode 4, episode 5. Next one, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you asked, isn't the Night King able to only revive the dead only when they are freshly killed, so he couldn't revive the dead in the crypts? So a lot of people have asked about this. I don't think they're going to go for that twist as much, but that doesn't mean that they're completely safe in the crypts. Most of the dead in the crypts are skeletons, and Ned Stark's skeleton, for instance, has the head separated from the body, so I don't think we're going to see a headless Ned Stark running through the crypts after all these people hiding down there. But what the Whites could do is they could tunnel in from other places around the crypts. The way they tunneled into the root system of the Three-Eyed Raven's tree, they didn't even bother to go in the front door, so the Whites could do that. That would probably be their way in. Next one, Eugenia asks, do you see Dany's face when Jaime mentioned the Golden Company? So she's just shocked at the idea that Cersei will have enough forces to defeat them after this big battle, because I think they're going to lose so many of their troops. We haven't seen a whole lot of them in action recently, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a quote-unquote golden surprise sometime in the next couple of episodes, because they wouldn't hype them up that much during season 7. Oh, the Golden Company, you gotta watch out for them. They're gonna be awesome. There's 20,000 of them. They're super badass. They've never broken a contract. Just expect something from them really, really soon. Next one, Diana asks, do you think there's going to be a wedding this season? So I don't know if we have enough time for an actual wedding, if they do like full Return of the King, Lord of the Rings style with Jon and Daenerys, but I think they're hinting at that. If they both survive, I think they'll just imply that in the future, that's what they're going to do. Like I said, Jon Snow hates the idea of bastards. If she potentially becomes pregnant with his child, he would feel honor-bound, Ned Stark style, to get married to her, regardless of what kind of drama's between them at that point. But just remember that the show does not trade on happy endings, but I think we're all hoping that the finale is titled A Dream of Spring, which is kind of a hopeful title for the finale, like maybe things will potentially get better, even if it's not quite so simple. Next one, Bad Spy asks, where's the best character in all of Game of Thrones history? I mean, we didn't even see him much last season. So you're talking about Ghost. Yeah, we barely saw him during the episode. If you blinked, you may have missed him, but he was standing with them when they were all talking about their time in the Night's Watch, about Samwell the Slayer, lover of ladies, what has the world come to? You see very good boy Ghost off in the background, just sort of nodding his head. He doesn't even look that big. A lot of people are like, how come Ghost isn't bigger in frame? He just seems like he should be huge at this point. I think this is the show saying that we just couldn't figure out a really easy way to do this. They've never been good with the visual effects of the direwolves, so they've completely avoided them in favor of the dragons. I'm assuming the Ghost will be present during the battle. Maybe they'll have him do something cool. My expectations for that are low. Next one, Quandra asks, do you think we'll see any of Bran's warg powers in episode 3? Maybe Jon doesn't ride a dragon and Bran wargs into it. I would love that twist. I do think that Bran's going to try and use his warg abilities. I mean, it's just another tool in his arsenal for fighting the army of the dead and helping them. People have been asking George R. Martin if you could warg a dragon for as long as the books have been out. He said that there's no precedent for it. So when they asked Bran in the episode if dragonfire could hurt the Night King, and he said, we don't know, no one's ever tried it. I think that was a bit of a wink to the idea that they're going to try a few things that no one has ever tried before with his abilities during the episode. So yes, high probability that he tries to warg one of the dragons during the episode. We'll see if he does, how successful that winds up being, because I don't think that any of the battle is going to go the way that he thinks it will. Thank you so much for submitting questions, everyone. These are always fun to do. I'll be doing these for all the episodes this season. There's so much stuff happening this weekend. Avengers Endgame is coming out. I'll be doing videos for that. Obviously, my episode 3 video will post Sunday night. Leave all your requests for other bonus videos in the comments below. Congratulations to the winner from the last big giveaway, Vance Wallace. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. While you wait for everything,